Welcome to all of you, Prabhuji, Mataji. In today's session of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we'll discuss in a short while the wonderful chapters of Bhagavad Gita spoken by Sri Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jan Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jan Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yamna Tira Vanchari Yamna Tira Vanchari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jan Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yashodanandan Vraj Jan Ranjan Yamna Tira Vanchari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Hare Rāma 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Hare Rāma 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Hare Rāma 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 Hare Hare जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी। श्री श्री राधा माधव जी की, श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की, श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर ललिता विशाखा जी की, श्री गौ नित्याय जी की, शिला प्रभुपाद की, नित्याय गौ प्रेमानंदे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमोऽभीष्टं स्थापितं भूतले श्री ही चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं भूतले स्वं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां च सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. So today we will discuss chapter 13 titled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness, and verse number 26. Anye tu evam ajānantaḥ śrutvā anyebhyaḥ upāsate te api cha atitaranti mṛtyuṁ śruti-parāyaṇāḥ anye evam ajānantaḥ śrutvānyebhya upāsate te cātitaranty mṛtyuṁ śruti-parāyaṇāḥ anye evam ajānantaḥ śrutvānyebhya upāsate te cātitaranty mṛtyuṁ śruti-parāyaṇāḥ अन्ये त्वेमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Please recite. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Mataji, please. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वा एव अन्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Hare Krishna. Word to word meaning, translation and purport divine by His divine grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Anye, others, tu, but, evam, thus, ajānantaḥ, without spiritual knowledge, śrutvā, by hearing, anyebhyaḥ, from others, upāsate, begin to worship, te, they, api, also, cha, and, atitaranti, transcend, eva, certainly, mṛtyuṁ, the path of death, śruti-parāyaṇāḥ, inclined to the process of hearing. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in the spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Please repeat. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Purport, please hear. This verse is particularly applicable to the modern society. When we are in the modern society, so-called modern society. There is a particularly, because in modern society, there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is good soul, this is very important. If he is good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Caitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing, because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially, according to Lord Caitanya, if he hears the transcendental vibration of Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Caitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position. But one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth. By speculative reasoning, one should learn to become servant of those who are in knowledge of Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended. And this is very appropriate. Although common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Srila Prabhupada ki, what a wonderful verse, Prabhuji Mataji. Very simple process. If you see the two verses before this, because what is given here, anye. Anye means others. So Krishna has talked about some people before as well. And who are those people? We have this information in verse number 24 and 25, which have been discussed already. But we should hear about that. What is Krishna saying there? Ya evam veti purusam prakritim cha gunai saha sarvatha vartmanu api na sa bhuyo abhijayate. This is one of the category Krishna is describing here in verse number 24. He says, one who understands this philosophy. Which philosophy he is talking about? He is talking about material nature and its modes, because the material nature works through the modes. And these modes, if we see in the 14th chapter and 18th chapter in 18.40, Krishna clearly describes no one in this existence, even in the demigod's place, is out of these three modes of material nature. And that's why what you have to do, because if we are in three modes, that means we are in constant touch of nature. And we are in constant touch of nature means we are in the material world, but we have to be out of the material world. This is a puzzle. And how would we solve this puzzle? Krishna has told many places in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam as well, devotees are described. Nahi kaschit chadam api jatu tisrati karam krat. In 3.5 Bhagavad Gita, na kaschit chadam api. For a moment, you can be without doing activity. And we are in the material world. So we have to do activity according to the rules and regulations of the material world. But Krishna has given very simple formula. What formula he has given? You have to do this activity offering the fruits to me. When he says, in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, he says, what you have to do? Offer everything to me. Right? Whatever you are doing, whatever you are eating, whatever you are doing, japa, tapa, whatever you are doing, do that offering to me. Then what will happen if you do that? Subh asubh phalere evam mokshayase karam bandhane sannyas yuktvatma vimukto maam upasyasi. We have to get rid of, like in this verse, what is given here. If we follow this third category, which is given today, we are going to discuss, then you transcend the repeated birth and death cycle. And to get transcend from the repeated birth and death cycle, that means we have no results for the pleasure or distress. We have to make that balance zero. And to make that balance zero, That's why Krishna says in 9.27-28, in 28 he says, Subh asubh phaler evam. Whatever good or bad result is there, you will not get that result. So that is why what he is saying here, one who understands this philosophy, philosophy means nature, three modes, and consciousness and enjoyer. Very clearly we have to understand that. Then what happens? Concerning material nature, the living entity and the interactions of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. By simply understanding this process, Krishna is giving a statement, is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth again, regardless of his present position. Whatever position you have, if you do this, that means you are not going to get birth again. Very clear. The next verse in 25 says another category of people. First category is those who simply understands this philosophy. Philosophy of nature, modes, enjoyer and consciousness. Next category says, Dhenatmani pashyanti kejit atmanah anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. What is saying? Some perceive, that means one category, that another category, some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation. That means yogi, in the second canto of Bhagavad Gita, very nicely full chapter is given about the yogi, how he achieves the ultimate goal. So he says, some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation. And there is another category, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So these three categories in this verse is given. Now today Krishna is talking about the another category. And why is particularly talking about this another category, Prabhuji Mataji? In this material world, like Prabhupada writes in the Purport, everybody is not knowledgeable about the philosophy. We have out of 84 lakhs yonis, how many yonis for the humankind? Anybody? 400,000. 400,000 types of human beings are there. And out of these 400 types of human beings, what he says in 7 point, Manushyanam says cātitaranty siddhaye. From thousands of living entities who have taken this human form, some try to become human. Manushram says, Kachiti Siddhaye. And from those, somebody wants to become a Siddha. So it's very difficult. So attaining this knowledge, everybody is not able to get this knowledge and transcend the repeated birth and death cycle. So today category what we are seeing, it is, what is given here, this category, although not conversant with in the spiritual knowledge, begin to worship. He simply begins to worship. How he begins to worship? Upon hearing about Supreme Lord from others. So, evam ajānantaḥ anye śrutvānyebhya upāsate. Śrutvā anyebhya. Hearing from others. And this is given the last word in this sloka, śruti-parāyaṇāḥ. That means what? Śruti-parāyaṇāḥ means translated by Srila Prabhupada very intelligently. What is giving? Incline to the process of hearing. Śruti-parāyaṇāḥ. And each and every living entity, how does it start in this material world? We get a child, right? Babies are born. There is, till they go to the school, there is no school for them. But still they learn. How do they learn? Śruti. Śruti is so strong by simply hearing from their parents, from siblings, from friends, they keep on getting the knowledge. So the Śruti is very important, Prabhuji Mataji. In this Śruti, if we see, we have 9 process of devotion service. Saranam Kirtanam Vishnu, Ismaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. This is the 9 process of devotion service. So first one, what is given here? Sravanam. And Sravanam, why it is given the first in the Sravanam? All other 9 depends on Sravanam. This is basically pure science, Prabhuji Mataji. If we analyze this sequence, first is Sravanam, then Kirtanam. If you do not hear, how can you do the Kirtan? As simple as that. So, unless you do the Sravanam Kirtanam, how do you remember? And if you do not remember, remember about whom? About you are going to worship. Then Padasevana. If you don't continue like this, you will find this 9 process, Sravanam is the key. We are in which month now? Shravana Mas, right? In this Shravana Mas we have Purushottam Mantha starting today. So Shravana Mas means Shravan. And Chaturmasya also started, right? So Chaturmasya started means Chaturmans means what? As per the Vedic system, Chaturmans means we have to stay at one place, not move. All the sages, Vedantis, they used to stay during this Chaturmas. And what they do basically? They simply hear and chant. Sravanam Kirtanam, Sravanam Kirtanam, Sravanam Kirtanam. They continue to do that. And what happens from this? In this hall, we see so many living entities. But there are other living entities which we do not see. The insects and others. They also get benefited from this hearing. Prabhuji Mataji, in this verse, when Srila Prabhupada says, Prahlad Maharaj says in 7.23-24, he says, Iti pumsar pita Vishnu bhaktischemna lakshana kriyate bhagavati adha tanmaye dhi uttamam. Nav lakshana, this 9 process of devotion service is saying, these 9 processes are accepted as pure devotion service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be most learned person, for he has acquired the complete knowledge. So in this 9 process, did you hear anywhere? We have the process of reciting Vedas, other processes. This simply, very simple. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Padasevanam, Ismaranam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmavedanam. So if we do this process, then what you are understood? Acquired complete knowledge. And this simple process of basically hearing, how it awards. How it awards. The best example we want to hear is Narad Muni. Narad Muni, when he describes to Vyasadeva about his past life, he says he was a maid servant, son of a maid servant. And we know that past time, Prabhuji Mataji. We will not go into detail. But in that past time, what do we see? We see Narad Muni is simply hearing from authoritative sources. Who are the authoritative sources? Who knows about this knowledge. And they are sitting at one place. And Bhagavatam says the winter season as well as the rainy season. Both the seasons, Narad Muni continuously as the child of 5 years old. He is hearing all this process. Hearing about Krishna. And what else he is doing? He is simply taking Uchchishta of this Vedantist. By that process, he gains the position of Narada. That means he gets become the son of Brahma and he gets that position, Prabhuji Mataji. If you see here, Narad Muni, he speaks. What happens when he goes to the forest after his mother dies? and then he goes to the forest, and then he's crossed over so many places, so many countries, and he goes to a place and he sits down under the tree. He's meditating on Krishna. Krishna appears in his heart, and immediately he vanishes also. Right? At that time, Narad Muni hears the voice of Krishna. And that is the key. That Bhagavatam says in 1.6.25, Etavaduktvo pararam tanmahat bhutam nabolingam alingam iswaram aham cha tasmai mahtam mahiyase sheshnāvanāmam vidatte anukampitah. This is the key verse, Prabhuji Mataji. What it says, then that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes. What we are discussing right now? Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing Srimad Bhagavad Gita, spoken by Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Krishna 100% non-different. They are same. And this verse confirms that. What is given here? Then that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. And what sound said? Narada, in this lifetime you will not see me again, because you cannot see with process whatever you are doing. You have to take birth again, then you will see me. So he has to complete the Narad Muni the process and take next birth to see Krishna again. And then why he says, feeling a sense of, Narad Muni then says, feeling a sense of gratitude. Means what, Prabhuji Mataji? Whatever we hear from authoritative sources, we should always feel gratitude. If we are not grateful, we are thankless. He says, feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him. How did he offer the obeisances? Bowing my head. Srila Prabhupada has given very short purport, but very sweet and memorable purport. He says, that personality of Godhead was not seen, but only heard, does not make any difference. Listen carefully, Prabhuji Mataji. That the personality of Godhead was not seen, but only heard, does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced 4 Vedas by his breathing. And he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of Vedas. We want to see Krishna, we want to realize, we have to see Krishna from the pages of Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavatam and the Vedas. That's the way to see Krishna. Prabhupada says further, similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of Lord. Let us repeat. Similarly, repeat Mataji Prabhu please. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of the Lord. And there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. When we chant, we read, we touch, that means we are simply in the association of Krishna. Prabhuji Mata, it depends on us. How do we perceive it? When we touch Bhagavad Gita, do we perceive I am associating Krishna, or as a book I am reading? When we touch Bhagavatam, do we see that Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, as confirmed by Srila Prabhupada and Krishna himself? Then if we have that mindset that yes, I am associating with Krishna directly through the pages of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, then our whole process will be different. Our thinking process will change. The realization will change. You read one time, next time when you read, more and more realization Mataji will get. See, what this hearing does, when we hear from the authority sources about Krishna, what does it do? Ahar, Nidra, Bhaya, mṛtyuṁ. We have these 4 basic things, right? And third is Bhaya. We are always fearful. Fearful over what? In the discussion about creation, Lord Brahma, when he offers his prayer to Lord, then he says, Dravina dehe sunan nimittam. Dravina means money, dehe, body, and your relatives, everybody, you are always for them fearful. Why you are fearful? Because we have connected ourselves very strongly with these things. Our connection with Krishna is so weak. Any difficulty come, first thing we will lose the Krishna's connection. But difficulty comes, we maintain our connection with our family members, the friends, the relatives, society. This connection goes on. This is the place where we have to work on to be on the right path. Right? The demigods, when Hiranyakashipu terrorized the whole world, and we have seen from Bhagavatam pages, 7th canto, how did he terrorize each and every living entity in this thing. His own son he terrorized. So fearing from the terrorist activities of Hiranyakashipu, the demigods approached Brahmaji and they approached Lord. And then again they heard a voice. They didn't see directly Krishna. Simply he heard the voice. What did he say? That voice in 7:4:25 and 26. Ma bheshta vibhut sreshta sarvesam bhadram astuvaha maddarsanami bhutanam sarvasayopapatte. Ma bheshta vibhut sreshta. First thing, the voice said, O best of learned persons, do not fear. Ma bheshta vibhut sreshta. Learned person, do not fear. So the fear is gone. The moment you hear from Krishna, right authorities, your fear goes away. In the Katha, Krishna Katha, or any Katha when we are hearing, for that period of time, Prabhuji said today that life is, age is, you are not aging. Bhagavatam confirms, Ayurvaiti vai pamsam. Ayurharti vai pamsam yanmano vidiyate. That the sun, when he rises and sets, takes away the life, one day life of each of us. But when you are hearing the Krishna Katha, that period cannot take away. Okay? So, Ma Bheshta, Lord saying, do not fear, I wish all good. Sarve Sam Bhadram Astuya. Bhadram means your goodness for you. I wish all goodness for you, good fortune to you. Become my devotee. Become my devotee by hearing and chanting. Again, what is Lord is saying? Become my devotee by hearing and chanting about me, offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benediction. So if we do chanting, first hearing, then chanting, certainly award the benediction to all living entities. And I says, Jnyatam etasya dauratmyam detyopasadayat tasya santim karishyami tavat kalam pratikchat. But, Prabhuji Mataji, we have to be very careful. Why? When we are in distress situation, difficult situation, everybody wants a quick result. Krishna is telling to demigods, no. What you have to do? Tavat kalam pratikchat. You wait for the right moment. I know the activities of Hiranyakashipu very well. And tasya santim karishyami. I will do the peaceful situation, everything, but you have to wait for the right time. Without that, now, we are hearing Prabhuji Mataji. We chant also. We are in distress. How should we call Krishna? In this process, when we are hearing, we want to call Krishna also. How should we call? What should be our mood for calling Krishna? The best example we see Gajendra. When Gajendra in the distressful situation, children, wives, generals, soldiers, everybody deserted Gajendra. He is alone, fighting with the crocodile for 1,000 years, fighting with, single-handedly. Then there is a nice verse in Bhagavatam 2.7.16. What she says? Śrutvā harismarnārthina prameyas chakrāyudha patgarāj bhujādhirūಢah chakrena nakrvadnam vinipāte tasmāt daste pragayya bhagwan krapyo jahara. Krapyo jahara means what? The personality of Godhead, Krishna heard. Where was he at that time? Dwarka. Sitting for the lunch. Rukmani Mata put the full plate, and suddenly Krishna heard the cries of, prayers of Gajendra. He ran from there. Rukmani Mata, where are you going? Finish prasadam. No, Rukmani, I don't have time. My devotee is in danger. When you cry with your heart, full heart, Krishna will not wait for a second, Prabhuji Mataji. He will come running. So what he said is given here. After hearing the elephant's plea, after hearing, felt that elephant needed immediate help. Now, if we call Krishna half-heartedly, right, that means we don't need immediate help. We blame Krishna. Krishna, he didn't come. Draupadi kept calling everybody in the arena of assembly of Hastinapur. She called Dhritarashtra, she requested Bhishma, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, everybody she requested. Even she tried with her strength to hold her sari, but nothing worked. And then when she called Krishna, Krishna immediately came. Later on she said, Krishna, why you took so much time? Draupadi did not call me. The moment you called me, I came immediately. He doesn't take even a moment. Right? So it's given out here. Thus, at once Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds. And not only that, Prabhuji Mataji, the katha is like that Krishna came on Garuda and he realized my devotee is in big distress, big pain. Garuda is very slow. He jumped from the Garuda and ran himself. So, he says, fully equipped with the weapon and wheel chakra, with the wheel he cut to pieces the mouth of crocodile to save elephant. He delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk. He himself lifted the Gajendra and put on the neck. So how do we call? But when we hear the subjects, what should we hear? That is also very important, Prabhuji Mataji. Because we hear whole day, whatever time we are in consciousness, we keep hearing. What should we hear? That is given by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Very nice. What is giving? He says in second canto, when he starts answering Parikshit Maharaj about his main question. What is the main question of Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami? What is his duty? What is the duty of the person on the deathbed? So when he starts explaining, he says, Sutya Divini Rajendra Naram Santi Sahasrasaha Apashyat Atmatattvam Grai Sugra Medhinam. He says, Sutta Divini Rajendra. Rajendra means Parikshit. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. That means those people who are not intelligent to know their real benefit, they go only after the material benefits. they do not know what should we hear, what we should not hear. They hear those things they should not hear, and they do not hear things which they should hear. That's what Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami is saying. And then, in this verse, basically Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport very nicely. The process of going back home, back to Godhead. This is the statement of Srila Prabhupada. The process of going back home, back to Godhead, is to hear about the Supreme Lord, His name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Foolish persons do not know this. This is what we should hear. They want to hear something about name, form, etc. of everything temporary. We have our children, grandchildren. We have those who don't have, they will have grandchildren, of course, later on. So, we want to hear when our child is small, we want to hear his voice. Oh, what a nice, totally that language he speaks, children speak. We want to hear our wife or husband. We want to hear so many material stories. We have all the time for those things. It's given there, Prabhupada, that of everything temporary, and they do not know how to utilize his propensity of hearing for the ultimate good. So that means propensity of hearing is there. There will not be that you don't want to hear. You will always want to hear. But you want to hear those things which are totally temporarily. And that is why Sukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishvaro Harihi Śrutavya Kirtitavyascha Smrtavasya Chetabhayam. O descendant of King Bharata, Tasmad Bharata, therefore, O Bharata, one who desire to be free from all miseries. Anybody who doesn't want to get free of miseries? Everybody wants to be free of miseries, right? So the formula is given, one who desire to be free from all miseries must hear. Śrutavya, Kirtitav, must hear. Glorify, Kirtitavyascha, and remember the personality of Godhead, who is super soul, the controller and savior of all miseries. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is savior of all miseries, Prabhuji Mataji. So this is what we should hear. Prabhupada writes in the purport nicely, very wonderful purport he has given here. Therefore, he says, therefore, one should first of all hear about the Lord. Now tell me, Prabhuji Mataji, when Rukmani Mata was in father's place, Bhishma, and she heard about Krishna. There was no television like we have today, no WhatsApp, no chatting, so you can see the face of each other, no videos. So she only heard about Krishna and developed the love for Krishna. Unless you hear about Krishna, how will you develop the love? Right or wrong? You have to hear about Krishna. So, therefore, one should first of all hear about the Lord when one has perfectly and scrutinizedly heard. So, another condition Prabhupada is putting, very right condition. How should we hear? Perfectly and scrutinizedly. One must glorify the acts and deeds. So, it means what? Śrutavya Kirtitavyascha. When we hear, our hearing should not be like this, comes from here, goes out from here. Right? Our hearing should be, we should hear, goes there, and then vicharana paro, that we have to think about those things. Manan, we have to do completely, remember later on, but we have to realize that first. Then that stays. Once we have sufficiently heard, then we should Kirtitavyascha. So he says, possible to remember constant. Thus, once he deeds, acts, he should constantly chant the transcendental nature of the Lord. Hearing about the glory and glorifying the Lord are identical, Prabhuji Mataji. And for your information, we all know very well. Who heard the Srimad Bhagavatam? Parikshit Maharaj, right? And Sukdev Goswami is speaking. And who goes first to the Krishna's place? Parikshit Maharaj. So hearing is so important. If you hear from the right sources, nothing to worry. By hearing only, you can go back to Godhead, back home to Krishna's loka. Prabhupada is writing so wonderfully. Further he says, process of hearing about and glorifying the Lord is applicable for everyone. There is no exception. Process of hearing about and glorifying the Lord is applicable to everyone, whoever he may be, and it will lead one to ultimate success in everything in which he may be engaged by providence. Sukdev Goswami, time is running fast. Sukdev Goswami heard. What did he hear? Two nice verses from the disciples of Srila Vyasdev. Then Sukdev Goswami, after appearing from mother's womb, he immediately, at 16 years old, he immediately ran to the forest. He didn't stay even for his ceremony, Jatkram Sanskar. He didn't stay for that. He just simply ran. And Vyasdev is searching, where is my son? Where is my son? How do I get my son back? So he told his disciples, remember these two shlokas and keep on reciting those two shlokas. What are those two shlokas, Prabhuji Mataji? Barha pidam natvarvapu karnayo karnikaram vibradvasa kanakapaisam vajanti cha malam randhran venu radar sudaya purer gopavander Rvandaranyam swapadaramlam pravisatagita kirtihi. And another verse was Aho aho bakiyam istankalakutam jinghasayapayadapi sadhvi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum saranam vrajema. These two shlokas, the moment Sukdev Goswami heard, the first describes the form of Lord. So he heard the form of Lord. What is the given? Wearing a barha pidam natvarvapu. He is wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head. Blue karnikara flower on his ears. Yellow garment as brilliant as gold. And Vajanti Malam, Vajanti garland, Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan. Beautifying it with the marks of his footprints, he filled the holes of his flute. He filled the whole of the flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. This first form, Sukdev Goswami heard. And then what did he heard? That he is not only so beautiful, what is his activities? He is the most merciful person. Aho bhakyam istankalakutam. That Putana who came to kill him, he granted the position to Putana, which he has thought of to give it to Mata Yashoda. I will deal with Yashoda Maya later on. Let me give this to Putana. Why he gave to Putana? Although her intention was to kill, but she came in the form of a mother, giving her breast in the mouth of Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji. And last thing, Prabhuji Mataji's time is running, I don't know. How should we hear? We heard. What should we hear? How and what should we hear, and from whom we said we heard all that. How should we hear? That is given by Sut Goswami. Sut Goswami says in 1344 तर्तकीतयो विप्रा विप्रस्य भूरि तेजसः अहम चाध्यमगम तत्र निविष्टत अनुग्रहात् सोहम वैश्रावश्यामि यथाधीतं यथामति. Very nice thing given here. What is given here? O learned Brahmana, Sut Goswami is telling to 88,000 of sages headed by Sonak Muni. O learned Brahmanas, when Sukdev Goswami recited Bhagavatam there in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard. Now listen carefully. I heard with rapt attention. So when we hear, we should hear with the rapt attention. And thus, by the mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage, the right authority. So we have to hear with rapt attention. If we hear with rapt attention from the right sources, as our verse says today, then what will happen? We may not be knowledgeable. We may not be knowing Shastras. We may not be knowing so many slokas. We will be simply like a Mahaprabhu goes to the Srirangam and he finds a Brahmana who is illiterate, but he is seeing Bhagavad Gita and tears are rolling from his eyes. We may be in that situation, but we are hearing from right sources, the right way and right thing, then we can cancel henceforth our repeated birth and death cycle. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की, श्रीला गुरुदेव की नित्याय गौ प्रेमानंदे. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Mataji, thank you so much. If any questions, comments, please go ahead. Welcome for that. Hari Bol. That means either everything understood or nothing understood. Hare Krishna.